Hello everyone, Miss Art Garden here, and today we're going to go through how to draw and paint a rose. So I'm going to start just by drawing some like squiggly little lines that could be, the beginning of the rose petals in the middle. So maybe there's one and there's another, and this one will come down and this one will come out and interrupt this one. And that's kind of the deal with roses, is the petals tend to just come out and then interrupt. So when you're drawing them, it's a good way to think of it. So let's have like a nice big one in the back here, and it like comes up and then it goes down and then it swoops in like that. And then if you think that looks a little too barren, we can put one in here. Why not? It'll come down and be interrupted by that one. And then we can have this one maybe go all the way to there. And this is just the sketch. Go with however you want it. If you don't end up liking things, you can erase them. You can manipulate them or whatever you want to do. But it's good to just kind of keep trying. And let's have one go out and then have a little peak of a petal kind of like so. And then it kind of goes in. And then this could come down like so. And then maybe another one down here interrupts it and goes up. And then this will come out here and go around and meet up here and then go down. And then we'll draw another one that interrupts it from over here, and then we'll have one that comes up here and goes down. And then they don't have to make sense perfectly in the sketch, but eventually you are going to have to figure out like, oh wait a minute, this one will have to come out like this maybe and then down, and we'll just do that for now. So let's draw one back here and we'll have it go up and then maybe down and then get interrupted by one that comes out like so. They're getting bigger now, so they come out like that, and then maybe we'll have one that goes like something like that and it comes in, and then maybe one that comes out like that and then goes in, and then one that comes out over here and then goes in and wraps around where we drew that other one. And then we can have a nice big one here. I'm going to erase this, and I'm going to actually have this one in the front, and it'll go down and curl like so. And then you can imagine like that one might be a little bit curled. And then we could just draw a few little extra ones up here to make it look a little bit more fuller, something like that and that. And this one here will be kind of like curled in. So there you go. It's just kind of the basic sketch of a rose. And then, you could have the little base part here with some of the petals, maybe if you want something down here like that, and the stem would go like that. And then if you want to make any adjustments, you can. I think I've drawn mine out so it's a little too wide this way, so I'm just going to select it and shrink it in a little bit. Okay, so now if you want to go in and just kind of work on anything that doesn't make any sense, like this petal and this petal here, maybe we'll add like another one that comes out and detail in like any little details like this, and then that'll go down, and then this one will come up. I don't really like how it looks here, so let's draw another little petal in here even. So one that comes out like that and goes down, and then you can have it just go in like that, and maybe it curls out and then down like so. And then we can have those go back down. And then let's have another one that comes out here and bring that down. Just so we have a little bit more detail. We have this like really long petal here. I don't really like how that looks now. So we'll change our mind here and draw it in. So we'll have this go down, and then we'll have a petal come out like that, and this will be interrupting this area here, and then we'll have these petals out here. I'm a little bit more happy with that. I think that's good enough for the rose. So now it's time to paint it. So let's blow it up a little bit more. Just why not use the space? And I'm going to create a new layer and call it color. Why don't we paint it a classic red? And I'm actually going to change the color, the background color. I usually don't like to paint directly on white. Maybe just kind of like a dirty green. Let's turn our opacity up. Let's turn my hardness up a little bit more red than I want. There we go. That's a better red. So now I'm just going to kind of go around basically and just paint the whole thing in red. And then if you're doing, your final touches for it and you want to see how it'll look, you might want to put your sketch layer down a bit, and then you could go in a little more easily and reshape your petals a little bit more to the way you want. Okay, and while I'm at it, I'll add some dark greenish yellow for the stem color down here. I'm just going to add, I know it wasn't in the sketch, but I'm going to add this out. So it's a little bit bigger looking. I have this one go out a little bit more here because I think it looks a little disproportionate. So we'll just do a little quick edit here before we move on. So now what we're going to do is go through and shade in some of these petals. So I'm going to turn my brush down to about 24%, 25%, and I'm going to pick a shadowy kind of color for the petals. And while we're at it, I'm going to flip my colors by hitting X, and then I'm going to pick a kind of highlighty color here for the highlights. And we'll go in and we'll just start blocking in the shadows and the highlights the way we want. Basically anywhere where the petals curve in, we're going to want to add some shadows. If you want it to look really realistic, you might want to use a reference to kind of help you out. But in general, you can just follow along. I'll make my sketch a little easier to see. Just follow along where the sketch lines look like, anywhere where they're dipping into a petal like there. Just add a few little shadows. So we'll go around here. In here, there'll be some shadows here. This doesn't have it, but we should have like a line that goes down here. So actually we'll have like shadows in this area instead. And then you can like add like a little highlight here, you know, where you would see the petal. We'll have some shadows down here where this is going under here. And the highlight would be on this petal here. And we'll have some shadows here like so. Kind of hard to think about, but just kind of experiment. This big leaf looks a little strange. Maybe I'll have one, I'm just going to sketch it out with the highlight where it kind of comes out like that. And then this one is going under it a bit. And then there's a little shadow under here because of that. You can just play around with it until it looks about right. And then we'll have a nice shadow here under this, and anywhere where it's curling out, like the end there might have a shadow. Anywhere there's a curl, there might be a highlight at the very end. So for instance, this one will have a shadow where it bends out there, and then we'd have like a highlight here, and then you could have another shadow there. Down under here, we'd have kind of like this massive shadow area, and we'll have this petal have like a shadow in that shape, and then we'll have the highlight go like that, and then down, and then anything like that. And then we'll have kind of a massive shadows under here where all the light's being blocked by the curve, and we'll have this go out and like that. Oops, I didn't mean to go that far. And then we'll have, you know, like a bend of highlights here. We'll do the same over here where we have the shadows at the curve back here and the bend of the light here. We'll have some shadows here. Maybe we'll have another petal. You can just add it right in there and it comes out just like that. So you don't have to, you know, follow your sketch exactly. And add some highlights just right on the tips of this one, and then some shadows here. Let's add another petal out here again with the highlight. We'll just kind of sketch one in that comes out like that, shadow here, and then highlight that interrupts it. And it's still kind of the loosey sketching phase, so you don't have to be super exact or anything. Just anything that you think looks right. Just having fun. We're just kind of sketching in a generalized look of it. Let's add some shadows back here in the bend where this would be, and then maybe like some highlights peeking out here. We could have a few highlights. Let's have one here, like this is coming out like at a bend, and then under here we'll have a massive amount of shadows, but then up here we'll have another kind of bending out feather. Petal. It's a feather rose. This looks a little weird to me now, so I'm gonna do the same thing where I just kind of add a quick little petal here in the highlighted area, and then we'll have inside here have a little bit of a shadow and then like a highlight like that. Let's take a look without our sketch and see how it is. You think it's kind of taken shape now a little bit? Let's keep going. There's a few areas over here where I haven't detailed. And basically what I'm doing is anywhere that they bend out, there'll be kind of shadows on the areas that they bend down. Shadows like at the area that you can't quite see. You could go in with a little tiny detail and put in some highlights here. We'll do that later. Generally you have the shadow and then maybe like a little catch of light there. So it's starting to look a little bit more like a rose. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a darker shadow color and start pushing that, and a little bit of a brighter highlight. I am using kind of an orange for a highlight. So let's go in now and work on pushing those shadows. So you don't want to just go over everywhere you just did. What you want to do is think about where the shadows will be the darkest. Go in and add some more. So like down here in this little area here, we'll have a nice dark area where it's kind of blossoming out. And then back in here, we might have some dark areas. Over here, just at this very edge here, down here, where this petal is coming out over here, we'll have this nice dark area here. And let's just kind of push that highlight here so we don't lose that area here. I don't really like the shape of this. So I'm going to take the eraser and not make it come out quite to such a point. Little edits as you need. And then we're going to have to redefine our shadows a little bit more to fit into that shape. So then we're going to go, here's a petal. Let's go over where that shadow is there. Go over the shadow back here. And then wherever there is right before there's another petal, we'll do like a highlight anywhere it goes down, and then a shadow where it might be going into an area. And then like a touch of highlight, something like that. Okay, and we're just going to keep going. We're just going to keep adding shadows. So it still looks pretty rough, especially if you take the sketch away, but you're starting to see how we're kind of working on blocking the colors in, the shadows and the highlights and stuff. And you just have to kind of keep working on it until you get something you're happy with. I think what I want is for this petal to come all the way out like that, and there to be a petal in here. You can just kind of make these adjustments, and then you'll have the shadows of where that corner gets eaten, and you'll have the highlights of where that petal will come out. And we'll think about like, well, now that petal looks really big, so we'll want to make sure we define some other petals in here. I'm just going to start working on where I've already laid out these blocks of shape, and we're going to just kind of keep reforming them and make petals out of them. So I'm not really sure 100% where all my petals are yet, and that's fine. Let's just kind of make some furls of petals here. I want this original shape to be seen here, something like that. Have like a petal back here, make these a little more pointy, and just anywhere you want the petals to stick out, you'll have to add like a little bit of a shadow. So basically I'm just gonna go in now and continue to push for the shade and highlights of my petals as I kind of work them in. Okay, it's starting to take shape more for me. So you just keep working in, reshaping your petals. I'm definitely the type of person who makes a mess first and then tries to fix it later. So I'm going to reshape this one. I want it to be a little bit more like that. And you know, this is just a big block of mess. Let's add another petal that comes out here and goes down like that. And then we can have one that goes out like that. It's a bit of a mess. Let's have this go in actually, so we can have a little bit more consistency, and then it'll have to be interrupted by maybe one that goes all the way out here. So it still looks like a little bit of a mess, but I'm starting to see more and more of a rose in their shapes. Okay, so this is starting to come together. I think we just have to keep pushing for these finer details. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you how to detail the rose a little bit more when you're kind of in its final stages. And then I'm going to speed up the video. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to come in and get a nice bright highlight and maybe an even dark shadow. And you're going to want to keep kind of making your brush smaller and just going in and adding some of these details, just like little touches here and there of where the flowers, like I said here, you're going to want like a major shadow here, but you can make your brush real small and add just like a touch of where it's catching the light there. Here you have your feather, your flower, I keep saying feather, your petal coming out. You want to maybe redefine just the very tip there. Out here you might want to come and like redefine where it's just barely catching the light. Anywhere you go in and you want to add like a nice little highlight area to kind of make it really stand out. And you'll do the same with the brush. You'll have just these certain areas where you go in and you'll want really dark kind of like spots. So you'll just kind of go in and really push those. So let's go ahead and speed up the video now, and we will meet up at the end. So there we go. That is the rose, a little bit more finely detailed. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any suggestions on what you want me to do a Let's Paint of next, let me know. Take care, have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.